Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in the gospel, God, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. It's from Dabu 7. Shit is going down, man. There's a lot happening in the world right now. There's a lot happening in Babylon. There's a lot of civil unrest.
What's up, guys? D7 back at ya. We've got a lot going on.
Amid these particular protesters with ICE being deployed to, cities like Portland and Chicago, and find out that Trump has signed off to federalize Chicago, sending 300 National Guard troops, which 300 troops is not a whole lot compared to a city that have a metropolis population of damn near 4 million people. And in general, the surrounding suburbs, around 10 million people that lives in the Chicago area. So 300 troops ain't gonna foil conflict, to say the least. But nonetheless, Trump, he's basically declared war on these cities because remember, what's this guy's name? Peter Segwich, if I'm not mistaken. About a week ago, they gave that speech to the military deeming that their men are not fit for service, okay? And they have to be pretty much warrior-minded in order to get the job done, because Trump said, well, some of these cities can be training grounds for our troops. So when people got wind of that, that's an attack on the people, which is totally unconstitutional. So people are already in a volatile mindset to fight back, and this is what they want. They want to foil chaos out of order. So therefore, they come up problem, reaction, solution, and this is why you're seeing these troops being dispatched to these different cities to basically fuck with people, man. To aggravate them, to get them to rouse up so they can be justified on going through with certain draconian laws, man. Okay? Big one we got now is this whole new digital ordeal. When I say digital ordeal, meaning basically the digital ID, which down the line will be the microchip. Okay, they're secretly implementing these into certain policies because they understand that America has what they call a constitution, and certain things you just can't get around unless you just disannul the whole thing. And the same thing with Britain in the Parliament. They're like, well, look, nobody's going to be able to work unless they have a digital ID, and this is the time we're coming into. So they need to foil some type of chaos through more chaos. Okay, so when you go here, it says DHS Secretary Christy Nunn, which she's a demon, shared on Fox and Friends that specific law enforcement officers have bounties on them put out by cartel members, terrorist organizations, and gangs. And when you look at that, that's pretty, I won't say it's unheard of, but as a collective, it don't really go down like that because technically the citizens, they don't put bounties on cops. So in my opinion, this is just nothing more but a psyop to get things, roused up out here. But we are in them times, man, when the scriptures say that they should not regard their kings or princes. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to play this video, and I got an article that's attached to it. We'll get a couple of precepts, but the prophecies are screaming. Okay, sooner than later, these cities are going to be in full-fledged chaos, man, and it's going to be riots and protests and all types of shit. So, hey, brothers, we living in some very, very, very exciting times, to say the least. And if you blink, you miss a whole lot. So here we go.
Always, we'll talk about a few things here, especially with Chicago. Watch my 6 here as we're walking. Just caught a big old bear on the trail cam, right, literally right there. And never know where one's lurking in the mountains. But Chicago turning into a war zone, and this is like per the official words out there from the governor. Now, regardless of what the governor wants to say at this point, the mayor in Chicago is being pulled into a situation where we just had ICE get surrounded and they were calling for help, and the police gave stand-down orders, told everybody to not go help them. So what this does is it causes an issue, obviously, where they're not going to get backup or help or any support. It could put their life in danger. And they're saying that it's creating an atmosphere of a war zone. That is flat out saying that because of what they're doing, the moves they're making, it's creating a hostile environment. And these guys don't even have anywhere to go to the bathroom or anything. They're basically saying, or get lunch or anything else. That everywhere they go, they're getting harassed and messed with. And of course, that's what the other side is trying to do here. But this is pushing this and pushing this and pushing this toward mass civil chaos, call it civil war, whatever you want, to the point now to where we have bounties being put out, not only just to kidnap people, but we have Chrissy Nome, or whatever her name is, coming out and just saying that they're putting $2,000 bounties to kidnap certain officials and $10,000 bounties to kill them. That's what's happening right now. Bounties out on the heads of officials. This changes the game when you've got money on the table for especially young, broke individuals out there that are hungry.
Yeah, it's like a purge, man. You know what? Hey, we in them times. People getting fed up with this system, man. Okay, people understand the unrighteous dealings that this government and that this system has put on people unjustly, man. Okay, these officials, like these fucking corrupt politicians, these corrupt governors, these mayors, all of them are getting ready to get axed. Okay, people are fed up with the leadership of this place, man. People are hungry, they're not eating, they're cutting social. It's bad, man. Okay, like we mentioned, after that dude, Brian Thompson got clipped, what was he, the CEO of United Healthcare? When that dude got totally clipped and mowed down, I already knew from that point it was going to be that was basically sending a message here, even though that was probably an inside job more than likely. That's sending a message here because you got judges, you got child support judges, you got child support state's attorneys, you got all these people getting ready to have bullseyes on them because they totally ran people's lives into the ground based on greed and capitalism, man. You know, and the fact that you got ICE agents being surrounded by protesters, hey, enough is enough, man, because they're just grabbing people off the streets, grabbing up jakes, all types of stuff. All right? So let me get a precept real quick. This is the book of 2 Esdras 9, and I'm going to start at verses 1. And it says, "And he answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest the part of the science patch which I've told thee before." So part of being in this ministry is actually measuring the times by going into these prophecies, man, because these things right here is relevant because the scriptures foretells us of them. Okay, and we understand that there's going to come a time of great destruction on the planet Earth, man, and destruction to Babylon the Great, which is America. And we've prophesied that since I've been in the truth, okay, since before the YouTube era, you know, the apostles and elders was going into this type of destruction taking place in this place. And now we're seeing it come to pass. So, yeah, while, you know, teaching Israel about their heritage, of course, that's always edifying and beneficial. But when you have things outside of the natural task, then you start to question it. Like right now, we ain't in time to be teaching black women on how to wrap their hair. And that's something they got to figure out on their own. Okay, this is not a time to be fucking off the name of the Heavenly Father and saying there's no Jacob's trouble and going into some pre-tribulation rapture and all this other stuff, man. Talking about there's a hell. We ain't in a time for that, man. Okay, the scriptures say there's a time and place for all things, man. Okay? But anyway, it says here, "Then thou shalt understand that this is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." So we're seeing the signs. It says, "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world," this is what we're seeing, civil unrest. Okay, the brother RCR, he uploaded a video. No, not RCR, Salakia, the brother from Hawaii. I think he did a video when he showed all the civil unrest around the world. And you literally have rioting in every fucking country right now. You even got, I mean, I won't say you have full civil unrest here, but you have protests here. You have things getting violent to some degree. You know, because ICE are going around antagonizing people and they're provoking people to anger. You know, riding around in unmarked vehicles, and they're riding around in civilian cars and hopping out with gators on their face. But it says here, "Then should thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." It says, "For like all that is made in the world hath the beginning and the end is manifest, and even so also the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings and effects and signs." Okay, and this is just part of the ordeal, and we ain't seen none yet. Because it's gonna get to a point that law enforcement ain't even gonna want to be law enforcement because a lot of cops are just gonna quit when they realize that they're not favored among population. In a lot of cases, the cops, they just stand right out of it. They like, look, this ain't got nothing to do with us. Because I was reading an article as well that they was told that cops would not respond. So yeah, it's not looking too good.
And also eager to prove themselves in front of all the friends of these people. This is how a lot of these things come into play. Remember, we just had a big event take place where ICE got ran off the road. They got surrounded and they couldn't get back up. So what this is going to mean, Trump just sent 400 National Guard troops in there. That's going to be nothing. They're going to send more and more and more. They're going to send the full arsenal now is what I see happening. And this is going to repeat in any city where the chaos starts to kick up. But yeah, this is nuts now. Bounties on the heads of individuals. So the cartels specifically, they say, are behind this. And it shows that if something happens here in this country, say Chicago, any city, they're going to strike somewhere. Remember.
Damn, it says woman shot by U.S. Border Patrol agents in Chicago. Protests erupt in Chicago out of shooting.
They're set up all down through Latin America, and they're saying it's against narco-terrorism, and they're tracking it back into Venezuela. They just came out and they said that regime change is on the table in Venezuela. And I think some huge moves are about to unfold. So it's all connected, going all the way up and into this country. And for our government, they're acting like this is, fentanyl and the drugs, the narco stuff. And it's coming from Trinidad, Aragua, down in Venezuela, and it's making its way up to Latin America, through Mexico, and into our country. And also these boats that they're blowing up out in the water, which again, we really don't know who's on those boats. They're just smoking them, blowing them out of the water. And we know the drugs have got to be stopped. We got to stop this stuff from coming in here. But what I question is like Trump turning around and saying, oh, I talked to Xi Jinping and he said he would stop sending it. That's ridiculous, you ask me. And then all the issues we have with the Chinese also in this country that have been smuggling stuff, those that have been slipped in here. And then Trump talking about bringing 600,000 more in here when the Chinese own land right next to our bases. Like, this is crazy, man. It's a setup. It's all set up. That's all any of it is. Interesting times here as we've entered October.
That's why he justified on trying to wage war on Venezuela, because allegedly, it was the Trinidad gangs in Chicago, in Colorado. All that shit was a psyop, man. All right, scriptures say never trust thy enemy. He's a deceitful man. Okay, matter of fact, let me get this real quick. It says, I think that's Sirach 11. It says, a deceitful man has many trains. Yep, let's... Sirach 11. And... Yep, right here, Sirach 11 and 29. It says, bring not every man into thy house, for the deceitful man has many trains. Yeah, it means he has many ways to supplant you, or many ways to deceive you, or many ways to overthrow you. And when these other countries make deals with Esau, they bring them in and then they accept this dollar. And before you know it, you have a country full of chaos and punitive laws being pushed. And before you know it, you're overthrown. And then they set up a dictator, a puppet leader as a dictator. And before you know it, your whole country regime and mission statement changes. You see?
October with events already. So as we approach November in this 11/11 window, that's going to see multiple planets, multiple planetary bodies going into retrograde at the same time. You need to mark this. It's going to go from 11/11 all the way through most of the month of November, because this is a window in time that it may mean nothing to you, but let me tell you something. The guys that pull off all these global events all the time out here, it means everything to them. It's how they operate. As above, so below. And if you're missing that, well, you're missing it. You're missing a big piece of how they operate. Blind 11 was pulled off the same way. And, well, join me for the live streams going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, where I've got way more time to talk about this in greater detail, which is needed. So I hope to see you guys there. Much love.
Yeah. So peep this. Okay, 3200 West Kedzie, South Kedzie. So that's southwest side over there. That's a lot of Issacharites over there in the area. You know, you got Kedzie, you got Western, you know, going far west, Sacramento, all those places. That's where a lot of Issacharites reside at, southwest side of Chicago. All right.
Up with liberation!
Down, down with deportation!
Down, down with deportation!
Up with liberation! Down, down with deportation! Up with liberation! Down, down with deportation!
Get the out of our state, you fascist scum! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Is she having an asthma attack? Oh, he violated the law. He was sitting here on the road. He's a man with a key. These people are arresting children. You see how
See, when you disarm a population, you can do shit like this. Okay? So, peep this. It reads, it says, Chicago police told officers no units will respond as protesters surround federal agents. Now, I believe with this dude, Brandon Johnson, I believe that he was telling the cop, I can't recall specifically, but I do remember like a while back, they was talking about how the Chicago police wasn't gonna help ICE. But see, what they don't understand is if they get their funding cut, then what? And then the police force, they end up walking off the department and they have to replace it with the, well, if Chicago goes lawless without a police force, because they understand that they're not gonna help the government, then there you go right there. The military just off back assumes the, they pretty much are the law enforcement of that city now. You see? So therefore, they're not gonna, they're just gonna send in more troops, like Davu said. They're just gonna send in more troops because 300 National Guardsmen is not nearly enough to full violence in the city. Okay, but it says here, Fox News' Bill Mogan reported that Border Patrol agents who were surrounded by protesters following a vehicle ram attack in Chicago metro area yesterday has requested local police assistance, which was reportedly rejected by the top brass of the local police force. It says here, it remains unclear whether the rejection was due to a shortage of officers. And Chicago got a lot. Chicago has a lot of police officers, man. Okay, and they got a lot more manpower out there than what they perceiving. Chicago has a fucking military. The cops out there, they got all types of stuff, man. MRAPs, military vehicles, they got all types of shit. Chicago police is well funded, if anything, because Chicago was one of those cities they still had tied to the mob, which is very corrupt. This is why they call it Gotham City. Okay, very corrupt city. But it says it remains unclear whether the rejection was due to a shortage of officers or being genuine refusal, given the hostility that the sanctuary city controlled by radical leftists have shown towards the Trump administration, which proves there's a civil division here. Okay, there's a division among Esau. All right, see, peep this. It says, please check patrol. No units will respond to this as related from such and such. It says, Prigg versus Pennsylvania. said states could decline to help federal law enforcement, but not obstruct it. So basically, they could stay out the way. But it says today's sanctuary jurisdictions have turned non-cooperation into active interference, allowing street militias to block ICE. It says it is no longer federalism, it's nullification. Okay, now this is... All right, there we go.
Slavery was legal. People are arresting.
Okay. It's lock you. But it says the National Fraternal Order of Police condemned the top leadership of Chicago police for prohibiting officers from assisting Border Patrol agents in urgent needs. Okay, which shows you that the police force is nothing more but a satanic order. Okay, it's nothing more but a sorority, or what you call you got sororities, and you have yeah, that's basically what it is, a fraternity. Okay, it goes back to, you know, they Masonic deities, and you know their particular orders of Jesuits and all that other shit. It all goes back to that order, Fraternal Order of Police, the Brotherhood, the Blue Wall of Silence. You know, but it says details are still emerging, but it appears that officers from the Chicago Police Department were ordered not to assist a group of ICE agents while they were physically threatened by what appeared to be an angry mob. It says the national president of the Fraternal Order of Police wrote in a statement, "Let me be clear that the National FOP and the Illinois FOP believe that when an officer calls for assistance, you answer no matter what." And that's part of the oath they took. Okay, going back to that brotherhood, that Blue Wall of Silence. Now, let's look this character up, and let's see what it gives us. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Search web. Get a clear picture of this devil. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Fucking bald face, pale face, pedophile. All right. Pretty sure he's probably on I want to say he's probably on the Epstein list too. I wouldn't doubt it. All these men they run in the same circle. And you better believe they hate Jake. You know, and they've done some wicked shit to get into positions of powers that they hold. So these ain't righteous, man. These men oppress you. You know? Anyway, so it says radio transmissions confirm Chicago police were ordered not to respond to calls for help from ICE after domestic such and such attack on an agency. And they got to call everything a T attack. Right, to add insult to injury, because that word terrorist is a buzzword. Okay, and you mention it or you say it, then it lights thing, you know, it becomes a buzzword, and then, you know, the antennas start to stand up. That way they can say, "Oh, we got you." But it says attack on the agents and surrounded by insurgents yesterday. It says Pritzker deliberately endangered the lives of these federal officers. So you see the division.
Please and Ketsy. All right, and 999, just to confirm, 39th Police and Ketsy, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd, and they were requesting the police were not sending. I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th Police and Ketsy.
Again, those are the orders we're being given.
Okay, 10-4. And again, for all the units that we called to go over that way, 39th Police and Ketsy, if you could just hold off. 911, 913, 923, 924, 933, 934. Just disregard that. 39th Place in Kedzie.
Oh, shit. See what it says here. We can't even hear him. Hold on.
Says that people are clapping. They're not. They're booing her on the street, and they're booing ICE and CBP. They're marching, the CBP marching on a beautiful Sunday in Michigan Avenue in downtown Chicago. They're raiding neighborhoods where instead of going after the bad guys, they're just picking up people who are brown and black and then checking their credentials. Are you a U.S. citizen? I don't know about you, but I don't carry around papers that say I'm a U.S. citizen. So you can imagine people are getting detained, they're getting arrested. U.S. citizen.
You don't have to because you're not in trouble like those. Our people, this is the whole plan the whole time, okay, to attack Jake. Black and brown, they don't give a damn. And we said that. We said they're going to start to roll on Jake and they're going to come out to the Southern Kingdom. That's how it always been. When the Northern Kingdom went down, then the Southern Kingdom went down. All right? There's always been a collective. They go down and then they start attacking the Southern Kingdom. There's nothing new under the sun, man.
And they did this, of course, when they raided a building in the middle of the night in South Shore. 130 people that were emptied out of this building. They were going after a few gang members, and instead they broke windows, they broke down doors, they ransacked the place, and there were people that were held, elderly people and children zip-tied. Elderly people held for 3 hours at a time. They are the ones that are making it a war zone. They need to get out of Chicago if they're not going to focus on the worst of the worst, which is what the president said they were going to do. They need to get the heck out.
You see, and that's not even off the table. He said focus on the worst of the worst, and that's talking about you Jakes, man. Okay? See, they coming at the Northern Kingdom and families that's not defending themselves. They're not really going after the Pookies and the Ray Rays and the gang banging and YNs. They ain't, that's coming, but they ain't going after them yet. You know, this is just to call up chaos at the end of the day. All right? It says a federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration from deploying roughly 200 Oregon National Guard troops to Portland, halting plans to protect federal assets and personals amid Antifa-linked ICE attacks on ICE facility in the southern part of the metro area. It says, meanwhile, the White House is preparing to send up to 300 Guard troops to crime rate in Chicago to combat left-wing agitators. See, there you go. And assist federal efforts to deport criminal illegal aliens amid attacks over the weekend. It says U.S. District Judge Karen Emmergut stated on Saturday that there was no evidence that protests in the city amounted to a rebellion or significantly hindered law enforcement. It says, and that the White House justification was untethered to the facts. And see, this guy Trump is breaking all types of policies, man. Okay, conditional Geneva Acts, the Geneva Act. He's when the Geneva Conventions. You go into the history of that. Certain policies put into place to keep things at bay, to keep people's so-called rights protected. And then also you have the Posse Comitatus Act, which you're not supposed to be deploying military troops on the streets of your city, especially if that's not an imminent declaration of war from a foreign entity. Show you that this dude Trump is just, he don't give a shit. But it says the injunction will remain in place till at least October 18th, pending further litigation. Let's look at this here. Come on, play. See, and that's the thing. That's how you know it's paid agitators, because I mean, like, eventually live ammo is going to start going off at these things. Now, right there, and this also proves too that the American military won't necessarily go gung-ho on their citizens, because, like I said, they have a oath to protect the United States. But it's going to come a time that these protests is going to get out of hand. And I always speculated when the foreign military comes in, that's when the ammunitions are going to be live. Okay, see, they only can do so much to their own people. They can pepper spray them, rubber bullet, which them shits hurt. They can probably beat you up and they can detain you and throw you in jail, you know. But other than that, I don't see them really dropping any bodies yet. It says DHS has deployed Blackhawks over the ICE facility in Portland as rioters get tear gas and pepper ball by agents. Following my wrongful arrest, Secretary Norm promised to surge additional DHS resource to the area. Looks like she's followed through, no mercy. So. My thing is this: if this was just a spur of the moment of people coming out to protest, when the hell they get gas masks and face masks from? Shield, you know, did they have this already at home, or was this provided for them? Because videos came out too when the whole ordeal in California went down, that they had supplies like maybe a half a block or two down from the protesters, that people were just getting supplies and going out there and riding. You know, so you can't trust Esau, man. This dude is just diabolical at the end of the day. This is the book of 2nd Edges 15. Oh, shit. I'm in Sirach. Sirach 15. And I'm going to start at verses 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For their destruction, for the sword and their destruction draw nigh. One people should stand up to fight against another, the swords in their hand. We're at this point, but we're at the time now that things are going to escalate. Okay, yeah, you got the troops out there, you got the protesters, but these things haven't got as deadly as they will get. Eventually, bodies will drop. It says, for there should be sedition among men, invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their acts shall stand in their power. So remember, going back into the earlier video, that they was putting bounties, you know, cartels was putting bounties on the heads of U.S. officials. You know, and people are going to take that up because you got a lot of angry people with the U.S. government, because the U.S. government has betrayed their people. Okay, you got tax-paying citizens that can't even afford to pay their rent or get proper groceries because you're sending billions of dollars in aid to foreign countries. And then you tax the citizens to death. You've dug yourself. The scriptures say that you should dig a snare for your own feet, man. You've put yourself in the wrong bubble. You know? And it says, and a man should desire to go into the city. No, it says, for there should be sedition among men, invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their own power. So it's going to get to the point. People, they just going to do what the hell they want to do. Okay, they're not going to listen to no law enforcement or no troops. They want to go out there and get what they're going to get. They're going to go through you and whoever they need to go through in order to get shit done. All right, and we're in them times. It says here, a man should desire to go in the city and should not be able. For because of the pride, the city should be troubled, and the houses should be destroyed, and men should be afraid. And the man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy the houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Soon to become famine. All right, last couple of precepts, Isaiah 19:1. It says, the burden of Egypt. Matter of fact, let's start at verses 1. It says, the burden of Egypt, called it a burden. It says, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and should come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt should be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt should melt in the midst of it. Okay, and that's when the chariots pop up. It says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and this is what we're seeing, because eventually people are going to go at each other's throats too. It says, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. Okay, and we're getting ready to see this on a national scale, because like I mentioned, you got civil unrest all over the entire globe. It says, in the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards, meaning they're going to go into sorcery. They're going to, go to their particular mediums and their politicians and their particular gods and deities to demand and request answers for what's happening. But nobody can give you a clue, a clear, definitive spectrum of what's happening outside of the men of the Lord. See, the prophets, we got the blueprint. We can tell you point for point why this is happening. You see? And it says, in the Egyptians, I will give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, says Yahweh and Yahweh of hosts. And water shall fail from the sea, and the river should be wasted and dried up. Going into your economic slowdowns. Okay? So, what the hell? Look at this chick. Wow, you see they got a weirdo up here. That's crazy. Yep. Yeah, so I'm gonna go down here. I guess it's pretty much the point. So I'm gonna end it, giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you will edify. Until the next lesson. Shalom.
Deportation! No with deportation! Up with liberation!
Fuck you, Nazi! Fuck you, Nazi! Fuck you, Nazi! Fuck you, Nazi! Fuck you, how dare you push me? Sidewalk. You have no disrespect. Get the fuck back. Touch me again.
Trump says go back! We say fight back! I says go back! We say fight back!
Angie's out of there.
You okay? Did that hit you in the head?
Yeah, good, man.
Oh, okay, you all right?
Thank you.
Okay. It's scuffed, but not cracked. You're okay. It hit you right in the dome, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're all right. You got some water.
Well, we had a really strange incident yesterday where we had a caravan of 10 different vehicles that were following our Border Patrol agents and officers that were out there on the streets of Chicago. And they had followed them and gotten them cornered, pinned them down. And then our agents, when getting out of their cars, they tried to run them over and had semi-automatic handguns on them to where our agents had to protect themselves, and shots were fired, and an individual ended up in the hospital that was attacking these officers. Very dangerous situation. And then in that situation as well, this individual had threatened them previously and had told them that they all needed to go down and shouted expletives at them. So our intelligence indicates that these people are organized. They're getting more and more people on their team as far as attacking officers, and they're making plans to ambush them and to kill them. We have specific officers and agents that have bounties that have been put out on their heads. It's been $2,000 to kidnap them, $10,000 to kill them. They've released their pictures. They've sent them between their networks, and it's an extremely dangerous situation and unprecedented. So we've put protective detail around those individuals, changed some of our operations to keep our officers safe. But make no mistake, this isn't just about, protesting free speech or that they don't like that people out here are upholding the law of our country. They're actually going out there and saying, kill these people and we'll give you this much money to do it.